Welcome back to TYT Sports. Francis, Jock, Jason here for SI.com's top 100 NBA players of 2016, but we're skipping right to 10 through 1. It's actually a really fitting list. It's really interesting. That's why we're going to discuss it here. And I have a bunch of papers in front of me, but I want to throw to the top 10 that SI made out. And I don't know if there's too much rearrangement I would put to this. I'm not sure about you, Jock and Francis. But to me, the two standouts. One, Blake Griffin. I always have trouble believing he's a top 10 player in the NBA. And also, that's a lot of love to Kevin Durant, who obviously can be the first, second, third best player in the NBA, but we haven't seen him play. And at this point, until we see him back on the court, maybe by end of season, I'd still put Anthony Davis or Steph Curry and probably Harden ahead of him just until we see him play.
Looking at that list, I still feel like KD deserves that spot. Even though he hasn't played, I still feel like he deserves that spot. I think when he comes back this year, he's going to be a beast to be reckoned with. Now, I guess my issue would be James Harden. I'm just not completely sold on James Harden being like that top 5 guy in the NBA. I would definitely put him behind Russell Westbrook. I would put Russell Westbrook ahead of James Harden any day.
I'm a little bit more shocked that Steph Curry. I mean, I know Anthony Davis is a phenomenal talent, but if you lead your team to a championship, I feel like you still should be. I mean, I think 4 is good considering what he was 8th last year. But I mean, if you're going on the season's form, right? You gotta think about how this adjusts based on the accolades that they added. So he's an MVP this year, and he's added a championship to his team. Does that not perhaps get him 2 or 3?
What's so funny about this list is 1 through 4 can all debatably be the best player in the NBA. But I mean, James, Durant, Davis, Curry. And I'm not trying to hate on James Harden. He got MVP votes for a damn good reason. Right. He's an unbelievable scorer. And he also had, one of the stats I looked up for James Harden last season, 38.6% assist percentage, meaning that on per 100 possessions, 38% of the time he was the one assisting the play, which is an amazing number. Same for Russell Westbrook. But then again, you don't have Kevin Durant in your lineup for 3/4 of the season. Therefore, the whole of the stats that got padded in Russell Westbrook's favor, those triple-doubles, again, they had a 500 record when he was dropping those triple-doubles in those games. He was like 7-5, 6-5 throughout that streak of triple-doubles, which shows that if you're putting up those kind of numbers and your team isn't winning the majority of those games, that's an issue.
It's a tough thing. Russell had it really tough last year.
Yes, he did.
And he had to pull a lot of weight for Oklahoma. And like as much as a lot of people are getting down on him, like but your team wasn't winning. And he was doing everything he could to try and make them win. A lot of people take Russell's numbers as Russell was just kind of padding his numbers and he was just doing him. And I think it was more of like I have no one else really to help me, so I've got to go all out and kind of do my thing. Kind of like the Kobe thing when when the Lakers are down and when there's no one really on the Laker team, like Kobe just goes like, all right, well, no one else is going to do it. I've got to make sure I give 100% every single time. And so I think that's why people are kind of getting down on Russell. And to jump back to Anthony Davis, I think a lot of people are rating his potential more than they're rating his actual skill set. Don't take me wrong. He's a great player. He's a great player, and I think he's going to become a beast. But I think a lot of people are like Anthony Davis, when he shouldn't be 3.
Right.
Yeah. So what I think, especially with basketball, is I think it's a lot easier for people to rate players based on their individual performance, right? Because there's 5 players on the court, and at times it's not necessary that everyone on the court is performing at the same time. Take, for instance, the Cavs in the championship game, specifically through the playoffs and the championship games, because LeBron James, I would think, undoubtedly cemented himself as the best player in the NBA because of what he could do with not having that talent around him. Right. Whereas, like I mentioned there, Steph Curry being higher, but then I also have to think about it, like, they are rating this based on individual performance as well, because Kevin Durant, as you said, injury-plagued season, still considered to be one of the best. But then you look at players in there, like James Harden, you just mentioned, they didn't get through as far as some of the other players on that list. But individually, he was frighteningly good throughout the season. So it's a little hard, because when I'm rating others in my sports, etc., then I'm trying to partner talent with how your team performs that season and how you influence those around you. But sometimes you're dealt with a situation. There only is 5 players on the court at the same time, and if you're LeBron James and half your team's out injured, then if you're the best player, then you just have to take the rock most of the time and do what you can with it. So I think that there's 2 sides of it, but I would still agree with what you're saying. For me, the main thing is Steph Curry, I think, would be the low.
Yeah, very strong points, Francis. I agree with all of those because LeBron has always been when is Father Time going to catch up to him? And then and of course the same thing with Anthony Davis has become if there's an NBA redraft and you can redraft everybody in the league right now, Anthony Davis is the consensus #1 overall pick because of his youth and, as you mentioned, potential. Right. But it goes back to the point that I do think Steph Curry, I agree with that. Maybe he should be rated a little bit higher. In terms of the other half of that list, because you made the point about the talent and how that affects the team, Kawhi Leonard is deservingly the number 10 player in the NBA, at least to me, just because of his defensive ability. And I do love how Marc Gasol finally gets some real love from NBA pundits.
There you go.
Because Gasol has been just a staple to the Grizzlies. He's a physical player. I don't think the Grizzlies will win a championship in Gasol's era of basketball.
So, this is a quick question that I just wanted to go back on before you go on to Gasol, because I was obviously looking at the Spurs. So, like this season, obviously, as you see more as the years go on, Tim Duncan's minutes are being more limited, right? But you think maybe last season, because obviously Kevin Durant in that list is not the Kevin Durant of this season. This is still the Kevin Durant of when he's not injured and when he's continuously playing. So where does Tim Duncan? Well, I don't know the rest of this list, but where is he still considered in terms of the NBA?
Just because of his age right now, I'd still make Tim Duncan a top 25 player in the NBA. Fundamentally, if the guy plays 13 minutes a game, he's going to get an efficient 5 points, 7 rebounds, all bank shots.
And it's more. And I would say he probably deserves to be somewhere in that top 10, is because he affects the game. Like when you're considered one of the top 10 players of the game, I think you need to consider how you affect the game, how the other team changes, how they reply to you, how you change the defense and they get defense on you. Like Tim's going to affect the game because he's going to hit that free throw extended shot. Yeah. He's going to get you down on the post and do a quick little Hakeem-ish move and make the layup. So I think those sort of things like that sort of effect on the game where they're trying to get people to double down on you, or they're really denying you the ball and giving somebody else an open way because they don't want you to get the ball, that kind of puts you in a different league. And I would say, maybe Tim deserves to be in there.
But part of that is because Tim Duncan's on a more important list, and that's the top 10 greatest NBA players of all time.
Right.
And he will finish there, as he should, just for everything he's done his career. Fundamentally, no one's ever seen somebody perform. It's not even so consistently, it's a machine. Yeah. Like a machine for 20 years of basketball.
Yeah, continually. Like you would think that last year, Tim's not going to be that guy. Tim was still that guy. He was still that guy.
It's amazing. The one thing I always like to make the reference to your sport of soccer is like Philip Lahm, because we have a big soccer audience, so they understand too. Philip Lahm has always been considered like a fundamentally perfect footballer.
Yeah, just
Tim Duncan is the Philip Lahm of basketball.
No matter his age, just always is one step ahead of his opponent. So one other player that obviously excites and everyone else, if this is a top 10 talent in the NBA, he's definitely top 5 in Derrick Rose. But where does he fit in at this top, and especially in this list? I don't know his specific position, but I'm interested.
Without knees, it's really hard to play basketball, and he doesn't have any of them.
Exactly. And when he was on form last season again, everyone, those specific games when he's making those clutch game-winning shots, everyone's thinking, all right, this is Derrick Rose keeping him fit, potentially best player in the NBA, just based on his talent.
He needs to make like a Ray Allen adjustment to his career. Granted, Ray Allen had 12 years of great basketball before he made that I'm just going to be a wing three-point shooter really from now on. I'm going to play 15 to 20 minutes a game and be a Hawkeye, dead-eye shooter from the wing every single time. And of course, what he did when he rejuvenated everything with Boston in that championship run and made, he had a 52-point game during that run, which is crazy for Ray Allen. And he did it in like 36 minutes. But if Derrick Rose can adjust and start to realize that he can't explode like he used to, his explosiveness, his first step, for example, is just not there. It also looks painful every time he takes a shot. He just doesn't get off the ground.
It's just that way that you're, especially if you see someone who's suffered that many injuries and is that talented, you're almost like just cringing at the thought of this could happen again. Especially with how you hit it right there in the head. Like in the NBA, specifically when I'm looking at all these different sports, I feel like if you've got a knee injury in the NBA, it's worse than having a wrist injury in tennis. Like as much as you might use it, it's just because everything, especially a player like Derrick Rose, it's all about acceleration, it's all about his drive, and it's all about just the athleticism to his game. And he's got an unbelievable shot, don't get me wrong. But when you look at Derrick Rose throughout his history and his time in college, that's what sets him apart from most. And it's unfortunate that his knees just aren't able to handle that intensity during the game, and that's where you make a good point. Like, his shot is fantastic, so could there be a potential to him just to adjust his game to be more of a, instead of driving, just be more of a, I don't know, a free-range shooter?
A pure point guard would be the exact role that I think would suit him, because he still has great court vision. It's not like Derrick Rose is like falling. He's still an unbelievable talent. It's just every time Derrick Rose takes a step, even when he walks outside, like, he's exactly the type of person who waits for the walk sign in the crosswalk, because he is not taking the chance that there is a halt.
Would you say that because of his injuries that people are leaving him off of the list?
Yeah.
Even though he's still playing well. He still played well last year.
It's just so unfortunate because when in his MVP season, like, he was one of the most fun, talented, explosive players we've ever seen in the NBA. Almost the closest thing to Allen Iverson that we've gotten since Allen Iverson.
Very true.
And because of that, the injuries, and like you said, like knee injuries every time, and like I'm always afraid like he's gonna re-blow out another knee because he's one away from his career being over, like actually over. You can't come back from 6 ACL tears. No. God only knows how many ACLs he has inside his knees or how many he has left. Regardless, leave your comments in the comment section below. Top 10 NBA players according to Sports Illustrated. Do you agree with the list? Anybody that was left out? And, of course, who do you think is the best player in the NBA right now? Do you believe it's still LeBron James, or should Steph Curry take the throne? Is Kevin Durant coming back? A lot of good things to look forward to the NBA season 2015-2016. Francis at Francis_Maxwell. Jock at Cousteau. Congrats on 100,000 subscribers. Check him out on Today in Sneaks. And TYT Sports at TYT Sports.